everybody, I hope y'all are doing well. I'm here waiting in the car for a little bit, so I thought I would make y'all a video about connectedness. So this week I have a friend visiting from out of state. He's actually visiting my husband, so we're taking him around, doing things, having fun. So right now we're getting ready to go out on the boat and have some time out there on the lake. But I'm waiting on my husband to finish up with work, and then we will go ahead and do that. So with this experience of having this friend over here, I thought I would talk about connectedness and how connectedness is just happening like anything else that's happening, and how it is that even though we're separate, we're actually in a lot of ways affecting and connecting to each other, even in this illusion. So with the friend that we have visiting, he's got his own unique ways. He's an individual. He has his own passions, his own lifestyle, his own way of being. And that is what is really important in this life, or what we call this non-duality. Non-duality is just life in the moment without anybody doing it. So he's expressing his own unique self, and I'm expressing my own unique self. My husband's expressing his unique self. Yet we are all somehow connected. And how is that so? So if you think about it just in life, it seems to be that everything has some sort of effect on the other. In just all circumstances, really, if we really sit there and examine them. We don't really have to examine them. This is just for conversation and just to kind of make our brains think about these things. So when I say that we're all connected, we're already all connected in the sense that we are all one. We all are exactly the same in the fabric that underlines us and what is animating or doing this life. And it's not something separate than us. It's just literally life in the moment. Just being alive, the aliveness that's happening. There's no self behind this. I don't know what I'm going to say next. I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't have really any control of what would happen to this phone, what would happen to me. There are so many things that it's very clear that there is not a self here in control of it. It's just all happening organically in this moment, however it wants to happen. But in this illusion, which is this and everything in here, there seems to be separateness, right? There seems to be another individual. There seems to be another person with another personality. And they all seem to be, into their own separate things. So we're not all exactly the same. We're all unique, but we're all one, essentially, in our true nature. And, but yet, although we appear separate in this illusion, that true nature of connectedness is always there, and it's always working in some way or another. Now again, this is all happening in the illusion, because cause and effect and other and me and anything separate is really just an illusion. If we go back to the beginning, there is no separateness at all. Everything is just nothingness, or no thing. So there is nothing to play on or to be separate. But in order to experience what is life, to have this fullness instead of the emptiness, because it's the both, but they're different in some ways. So in order to experience the fullness of life, we have to have these apparent separate individuals, apparent separate situations, and that from that life happens, and it becomes fuller and fuller and fuller. And as much as we want to, or we have this realization, or we want to have this realization, or whatever, of the no self, and that just everything is happening and I'm going to be in bliss and just enjoying life all the time, that is not human nature. Human nature is always going to pop up. Human nature is always going to have something happen. As much as you've had this realization, you will realize after everything goes full circle that the experience you're having right now as a human is the most important experience to be having. So to just say that there's nothingness and just lock yourself away and exit the world is not life. This is life. Experiencing time with friends, family, conflicts, excitement, all of that, love, all of that is life. That is what this is, and that is what this is meant for. So there is no real purpose. Everything just appears to be happening. But again, in this appearance, it appears that we are all connected. And one of the ways that I've kind of noticed it recently with the visit of this friend is how, even just being around a new person or being around other people can kind of affect you. So whether that's something silly like you cough and then everybody else in the car coughs, there is some sort of connectedness there. There's something happening. Also with our ways of being. With certain friends and certain people, we act a certain way. If you really examine yourself, you'll see that anybody else in your existence is affecting you in some way or another, and you're in some way connected to them. Okay, so everything is working upon each other. They appear separate, but they're all working upon each other. For any experience to happen, something else has to be there. If there is nothing at all, nothing can happen. There can't be time, there can't be sound, there can't be feelings, sensations, nothing can occur. If you imagine that we are just in blackness, in just a black, dark space with no stars, no other point of reference, no other anything, there is nothing. There is no experience there. There's just the experience of nothingness. But nothing can happen from that. There has to be something else to have any experience of cause and effect, time, space, distance, anything. You have to have another. So what I'm speaking of is everything and nothing. Essentially, we are nothing. And from that nothing, we are everything as well. And when we are everything, we appear in these separate forms, but yet we are already still just one, affecting each other and having life be its fullness, because there is the appearance of another. That way we have these experiences. So the only way that I can experience a car accident is to have a car. The only way I can experience what it is to drink something, I have to have a drink. The only way I can experience what it is to love someone, I have to have someone else in that appearance to love. In order to feel anger, frustration, there has to be something else. So life in itself is having life through all of these experiences. Without any illusion of others, we don't have these experiences. There is no life. So that's the paradox there. But what I wanted to talk about today is connectedness and how we all are affecting each other in some way. Even with me speaking to you through these videos, or you watching other videos, or whatever, even if you watch a TV show, a movie, examine what it is that's happening, how you're feeling. Are you taking anything from that? Is it affecting you in some way? Are you connected and not really know it? Like, you might watch a show and you might start to dress like that character because you like that fashion. But the only way you would have known that is because you watched that other on TV. So a lot of times what we do is all due to the connections and different experiences we have. If we didn't have those experiences and connections, we would have or be changing and doing these things. And life is about changing, so there is nothing wrong with having these experiences that affect us in whatever way they affect us. Essentially, if you feel like overwhelmed or too much input from the outside world, some people will retreat and then they will have a more basic experience, but they're still being affected by nature, by the colors of nature, by the smells of nature, by what's happening, by the experiences and things that happen around them. Even though there's no other person, there's things that are always happening. A tree falls down, you have to cut it, you have to chop it up and move it out of the way. You come upon a garden that you're picking flowers or whatever, and you get inspired by the colors or whatever. Everything's always affecting our experience. So we're always connected to everything. We're never separate from anything. We're never not in physical contact with anything. We're always, our feet are on the floor, our back is against something, we're touching something, the wind, the air. There's so many microscopic bugs and things that we don't even experience that are always in contact with us. So we're always in contact. We can never ever make ourselves completely separate from what is. You just can't do it. And even our experiences, the effects of those experiences, you can never become separate from those experiences. Those experiences change and move and get life moving. So every time anything and everything happens, even a simple hello from somebody in the morning, or you stub your toe or anything like that, it affects everything else that's occurring in your life experience. So we are always connected. And I just noticed this a little bit more, spending time with a new friend. I've known him, but he's not my friend. He's my husband's friend. He doesn't live in our state, so I only see him so often. And, when you are around certain people, you kind of bend a little bit to them, cater to them, and in turn that affects you in how you behave, what you speak about, what you do, the activities you do. If he likes to do these certain things, if his love and passion is this, then we bend to his way and we do some of those things. And same thing, like if he was visiting, or if we were visiting him, same sort of thing would happen. So we honor that individual, whatever their uniqueness is, and out of love and care, we cater to them. We try to be a good host to them and take them to those places they like, speak to them in the ways that they like, and have a bond, even though we're not exactly the same, because no two people are the same. It's a give and take, always a give and take, always in this experience. You're never separate. You're never just taking. You're always giving and taking, and you're always connected. Your conversations can shift and change. There's things that I wouldn't talk about with this friend that I would talk about with this other friend. So in your experience, just notice how everything and anything is connected. Your experiences, just anything that happens. If you don't put yourself in certain situations, certain things can never happen. So that is another thing. If you want to experience a very full life, if you want to have more of life, of what it is that I'm speaking of, you want to push yourself past those fears. You want to push yourself to new experiences. You want to go do new things. Of course, nobody's doing it. But if you are doing these other things, you will experience more of life. If you just stay to yourself and you don't really get out there very much, you just keep the same routine, keep to yourself, maybe not interact with any others or even animals, then your life experience will be a little bit more diminished, not as full, but you're still having life. There is no way to escape this. That's the thing. You can't escape this. So even if you try to just minimize everything about your life experience, you will notice even your own body will start having experiences. You'll start to have a stomach ache. We have to eat and drink water, so you can't escape that if you are going to be alive. So you eat and drink water, you might have a stomach ache, or you might get sick or whatever. So some experience is always going to happen from something, okay? No matter how much you minimize it, even if you minimize it to just sitting there eating and drinking food when you need to, something or another will happen. And if nothing happens, eventually some kind of natural experience will happen. No matter where you live, there's going to be rain, there's going to be wind, there's going to be storms, there's going to be maybe natural disasters depending on where you live or something. But life is always going to move you. You will never just stay complacent. And even people who have experienced comas and things like that, where they're just in a different level of consciousness and in a coma, not able to move or interact. Look into it. I can't think of her name, but there is a person that's had a coma, and she talks about her experience, and I know that there's others that talk about like having a stroke and stuff like that. Even in those other levels of consciousness where you're not completely conscious in the sense that maybe I am right now speaking to you, they're having experiences in those levels of consciousness. They're seeing, and they're having different senses that are heightened, and different experiences that we don't have as our full consciousness level. And it's not any better or worse or anything. Even those people that come out of that say it was wonderful. So life is very mysterious. We will never know everything. But what I can tell you is that we are all connected. We are all of the same fabric. We are in this fullness of life. Sorry, my car is, I'm in a different car right now. It's shaking a little bit. But for example, that, you know, I'm making a video, and the fact that the camera just shook, that wouldn't have happened unless I was in this particular car. Everything is connected and has its own unique stamp to it. So this particular car with its shakiness will create this shaky video at times. So everything is connected. So be aware of what you're interacting in life with. Of course, nobody's doing this, but it is all so beautiful and just creating life in all sorts of ways, any way it can. But going back to our friend visiting us, that is just something that I've noticed, is how humans affect and kind of shape each other in different ways. So, you know, who you spend your time with and what you do will really shape your life experience. The more time you have to yourself, the more unique you will be to yourself. So it's important to have time to yourself, to get to know yourself. I've made different videos about personality, why there's preferences in personality. It is very important to be your unique self. We talk about no self, but there is no self, but there's this unique expression that wants to be expressed in life. The specialness of you being here and being this expression and not that expression is very important, that you be who you are meant to be. There is no reason to try to be like someone else. Who you are is your main goal here, is to just be that unique expression to its fullest and most authentic way. And in turn, life will shape it and do different things. Life will do what it wants to do. I had this, realization over a year ago, and I've experienced those states of bliss. I've experienced a new perspective on life that has kind of made things, I feel like, a lot smoother. And at times I wondered, like, would I ever have like a verbal fight with anybody anymore? Like, knowing this sort of thing, it just doesn't seem like it would happen. But life's going to do what it wants to do. I actually was kind of upset with somebody recently over something, now that I look back on, was kind of silly. When you have these experiences of getting upset about stuff, it kind of clears up very quickly, because then you just realize, oh wow, like that was just silly, because we're all just one, and that's just something that happened. But in my case, recently I did have like kind of a little bit of a verbal sort of altercation with someone, and I never thought that would happen again after having this realization, because I love everybody. I just see everything as one. My big picture view of the world is a lot different than it was, so little things don't usually bother me. But humans are humans, and I was experiencing like a hormonal, emotional type thing going on, and I happen to be a little bit more irritable than I am now, or I was, before. So I had this little moment where I can look back now and say, oh yeah, that was tied to like this emotional thing that was going on at that time. So we can't control our emotions necessarily. We learn in emotional intelligence. We think that we learn our emotions and things. And yes, some people do or are aware of their emotions more than others, depending on their unique being. You know, I'm someone that's always been very much interested in psychology and things like that, so I'm very aware of that. But so anyhow, so later I was able to detect, oh, that's what it was my emotions. But there are emotions that happen due to hormonal imbalances, just all kinds of things within the body that are completely and totally out of our control. Everything is out of our control, but I'm speaking to you in a way that I would speak to anyone, just anybody on the street that didn't even understand this. This is not something that really needs to be that deeply understood. It just is what it is, and it's just going with whatever happens, whatever life is bringing. And in this case, life brought me some irritability, and I happened to actually get upset. And from that came a verbal altercation, and then I was very shocked. I was like, wow, I had never thought that this would ever happen again. But the thing is, no matter how close you are or how much in your head you think you are in that divine space, we are always divine. Everybody is divine. Even like a serial killer is divine, has that same fabric that I'm talking about as being one. But what we are right now is human, so we are divine and human at the same time. And our whole thing right now is, this expression is to be a human and to experience those highs and lows of emotions. That is the purpose of life, is to experience it in its fullness. And when you have those, let's say, lows of being irritable and getting into a fight with someone and then having to make up, and then love grows and brings you closer and gets you to more understanding after having these conversations and things that occur from having, you know, fights with people. That's life. And what does that bring? What did that irritability bring? It brought more life. It brought more fullness. It brought more love. It brought more understanding. So from everything, no matter how bad or how out of alignment we want to say it is, it's always working to bring more life. And we're always connected. One thing bouncing off of another is creating more life. Always creating more life. So I just wanted to speak about connectedness with you, and I hope you enjoy this video and have a good rest of your day. If you're new and you like these kind of videos, please subscribe and like the video. That helps me make more videos. And I have my information in the description box. If you have any questions or anything, check that out as well. Okay, thank you for watching.